I knew that horror movies at that time had become really, you know, successful, and every agent was sending every actor in on a horror movie. So I thought it would be fun to do one. The scene in Urban Legend, I really liked it because it felt like a proper scene. It didn't feel like it was just me being afraid, and you know, there was a protagonist and an antagonist, and there was something happening that I felt that I could sink my teeth into.
To put her in the opening of the movie was really fun because audiences knew who she was. She definitely had a big following, but is she going to die in the opening? No, because also she's the kind of actor who was at a level in her career where she must be the star of the movie. So it wasn't such stunt casting that there's no way she could be in the whole movie. So I think audiences genuinely believed that we were opening the movie with the star of our movie.
It was fun to play someone that you want the audience to get on board with, and then you won't.
I thought it was important that we shoot the opening scene of the film kind of early in the schedule. I wanted to be able to show Mike and Neil a completed section of the film with a beginning, middle and an end. That would give them confidence in my directing, and also it was good because it gave me confidence that I kind of could complete a chunk of the movie. It looked good, but it did what it was supposed to do, and yeah, we could all kind of just breathe a bit of a sigh of relief that we're on the right track.
I felt like Jamie just knew exactly what he wanted. He knew exactly the movie he was making. He was super confident, and we had a very nice camaraderie. I trusted him, and he gave me a lot of, I felt safe. I was listening to that amazing song, right? And you're driving, and then you pull over because you need gas, and then this big crazy storm happens, and then it could be me, it could be my sister, it could be my best friend, it could be anybody, you know, and you're not expecting this to happen. You're a good girl, you're a nice person, you like to listen to good music, you know. It's just, I took it like I was every girl in that moment. I always sing off key. Although as I've gotten older, I've claimed my off-key voice a little more, so I'm less embarrassed about it.
Every now and then I get a little bit terrified, but then I see the look in your eyes.
But at the time, I thought, okay, so they want me to sing off-key, and I do sing off-key, so this is a marriage made in heaven.
I saw that when working with Jamie that he was so knowledgeable in this genre, which I really wasn't knowledgeable in the horror genre. But he had really great ideas. But early on, he made a choice. I supported it. Michael McDonald supported it. I think everyone supported the idea that this was going to be a movie, not a horror movie. We got rid of that adjective, because if you call it's just a horror movie, it reduces what we were trying to do. So we took a very serious approach. The approach was Hitchcock Spielberg, Hitchcock Jaws.
Jamie and I would talk about like the shots he wanted to do, the location, or how he would approach something, both from him telling me his viewpoint as a director, which I wanted. You want the director, you want his viewpoint. But what was great about it too was Jamie was saying, you know, what do you think? You know, and then so sometimes I'd say, well, you know, maybe you want to try it this way or do it that way. Not while he was shooting necessarily, but you know, beforehand, but it was a very collaborative back and forth approach, which for me was a lot of fun too.
What happens, producers a lot just lie to the directors. It's like, you know, no, we only have this amount of days and time, and then you actually have more and you tuck stuff away in the budget or in the schedule. And I didn't do that with him. This is exactly what we have. And it was mutual trust.
Okay, please make it.
It was hard to find just the right sort of gas station with the right feeling for that scene, and so we did find one after a long search.
No, it's an hour. It's over an hour from downtown.
Right.
But you get a half hour free to get to the edge of Zone 1.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So I'd say it's an hour.
So it's two shooting hours out of the night.
Initially, I thought, oh, I got in this movie. It's a big movie. It's actually not that big. Michael McDonald, I said, Michael, this is a big schedule, 54 days. And he looked at me and said, yeah, but it's all night in Canada in the summer. There's only 6 hours of night. So it's really like a 25-day schedule, 30-day schedule. That's really what, in terms of shooting time.
We had so much equipment on that. I mean, on one hand, it was a high-budget movie, like 12 or 13 or 15 million, whatever it ended up being. On the other hand, that was nothing for the stuff that we had to shoot. All that night stuff, all that rain, all those big crane shots.
We wanted it big. We wanted it in the rain. And you know, all these things are things that producers and studios, oh, rain, giant night shooting. That all appealed to me. Because I love when it rains, you know, when the production moans when it rains, the cinematographer is happy. Fog, rain, great, night, you know, you can be very, very creative.
I love, you know, the fact that, you know, the creepiness of thunder, lightning, and you know, just odd light outside of windows and things like that. It always, you know, helps the look.
I just love the shot. I still have it in my reel, the shots of her waiting for Brad Dourif, kind of looking around this gas station, and the rain on the windshield. And there was that, when we were filming it, there was that moment where she looked just like her mother, Natalie Wood. It was really eerie at the time. And I remember Jamie said, he said, no, let it run. I think the AD was impatient. Why is this, the shot's done. No, let it run. But that's the thing, working with Jamie, he sees things. He sees on the set. Not all directors, they don't see what's happening in front of them all the time visually. They may hear the performance or see the performance, they don't see the frame. So Jamie's strength was he was seeing that performance, but also he was seeing everything we were doing in it. And it was so easy to communicate with him about, oh, we can make this better, we change this, change the frame, height of the camera, you know. We were very, very simpatico.
That scene was incredible with Natasha Wagner. And again, Jane was able to use that crane to get those cool shots that he wanted.
I wanted to work with Brad Dourif because more so than like some up-and-coming young actor, I was like more excited to work with someone that was established and that I had respect for as an actor.
Brad Dourif, everyone knows he's Chucky. Yeah, but he's also, we forget that he's a classically trained actor, and he was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
I wanted to talk to him and get to know him, but then I also didn't want to get to know him because I wanted to keep my distance and be afraid of him. And so I think we sort of did a dance where like we would talk a bit, but also I was in the car the whole time and he was in the rain the whole time, and I didn't want to be in the rain, so I was happy to be in the car, you know, and it was kind of like that. And then in makeup and hair, you know, he was just in and out so fast, and so we didn't get to know each other well. And I think that would have been wrong to get to know each other well for that part.
I was familiar with Chucky, and when he came on, and you know, there's this behind-the-scene footage that I took of him actually doing the Chucky chant.
Ade Dewey Dembella, give me the power, I beg of you.
In the rain and everything, it was actually really cool to see that. But he was very serious too, you know. He kind of freaked me out a little bit.
What? What are you looking at, man? What's the matter with you? Why are you looking at me?
Why are you looking at me? You know, he just went off on it, like, all right.
The guy's just sitting there staring. This really stupid grin on his face. What's going on? Hey, move on. We're making a movie here. Pass on. Go.
He was cold, he was wet, but he never complained. He just did his job.
Well, I know it was kind of fun at the hotel sometimes, you know, walking in the lobby with Brad Dourif, you know, or riding out in the car with Brad, you know, and there would be a couple of fans around because Brad and I together certainly had the genre flag flying at that time because we were surrounded by all those beautiful young teen stars. I'm giving some of them the benefit of the doubt.
We had a really good stunt person, and I mean, it was fun to be physical, you know, and I'm a small person, so anytime that I can feel kind of bigger than I am is fun.
Let me go!
I've played a lot of characters that have died, and I don't know, I was sort of drawn to those types of roles, even though I very much want to be alive. But there was something sort of interesting about those kinds of roles and trying to play those last moments.
Someone's in the back seat!
You have the idea of what the movie's going to look like in your head as a writer, and then a director comes in and brings their vision. And that vision was, you know, it was, I mean, those shots were gorgeous, and I'm like, wow, you know, like, he took some, he directed it very smartly, and it was interesting. I remember, and these movies don't tend to, are very much, you know, critics dismiss them right out of hand. But I remember, I think it was like Ebert, you know, Ebert and Roper, or whatever it was, I was reviewing it, and they're like, this is disgusting and bloody, and I'm like, wow, it's like, they got fooled, because the movie is actually not gory.
My approach to shooting violence in this film was to imply things or keep things suggested rather than be too graphic. I didn't want the film to be a gore fest, and I didn't think that'd be appropriate. And I don't think that's what the audience really were after. They just wanted a fun roller coaster ride and you know, good characters, good story, and a cool visual style. And I just, you know, I didn't think it was necessary to cut people's heads off. And in fact, I actually think it's more scary when you imply things. Some of the scariest movies, like Halloween and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you don't actually see a lot of on-screen violence at all. And that was the approach that Jim and I wanted to take on this film.
There were some scenes that we didn't shoot, we modified. I think the killing of Natasha's, Gregson Wagner's character, her head was cut off and bounces down the road into the camera. And I mean, aside from the problems of actually executing it in a legitimate way, it was the approach. And Jamie said, you know, we should never see the axe touch skin. The audience should think it. So, as in Jaws, as in Hitchcock especially, taking that kind of higher road, not because it's more elitist, it's just scarier. If you invest the imagery in such a way that the audience is in the film, they're living in the skins of the character, they see that axe coming, they see something happening, they're going to be ducking in the theater. They're going to live it. And that involves not showing the actual act.
That for the audience is like, okay, you've just fooled with me in a way that I really appreciate, and then given me a wonderful payoff that sends you into the next scene, which is actually as gruesome as the film gets.
When that axe is wielded and then you cut to glass breaking in slow motion and blood, but you don't see any, it's all suggested. So it's as gory as you imagine it to be. And so I think, and Jamie really did, you know, I think it was classy.
So much of what scares you is what you don't see, is the anticipation of it.
There wasn't a camp that wanted a horror, a slasher film, and a camp that wanted a suspense film. There was this suspense film that was being made. It's a lot easier to make a film when everybody's making the same film.
To just have gratuitous violence or gratuitous gore or gratuitous sex, like none of us wanted to make that movie collectively.
It made the relation between Jamie and myself very easy, because we were not, you know, saying, well, what does he really want to do here? I said, I know what he wants to do, and here are the ways we can execute it with what we have.
Watching the first scene cut together was amazing. It actually exceeded my expectations because it was really well written on the page, but Jamie really shot it great. The element of the song, the actors, and the cut, it was great.
I try to watch dailies every day, even when I'm working on a television project, and then when you get the opportunity to see, you know, like a rough cut of something, you really, you know, like the opening, you know, is really, really memorable of Urban Legend, and I just still think that it's got a great look, and everybody did a fantastic job. All the actors were really believable, and they all worked really well together. And there was just this sort of synergy that was going on between all of us, and it doesn't always happen, but when it does, it's I think when magic in film really takes place.
I would take the experience with Jamie because he made me feel great, and it's always nice to work with a director who you connect with, and I just enjoyed that little 10-minute movie that we made, you know.